brain. Welcome into his frequency. Enter at your own risk. Come be at peace with me. Ask the Paul, where we rise and don't fall.
Welcome back to another episode of Baxter's Buzz. I am your host, Baxter E. Hall. Welcome to my brain. Welcome to my frequency. Enter at your own risk. Talking about frequency, I have a good friend who I think we're always on the same frequency. She is the founder of ElevateHer. Um, the company elevates and transforms organizations and individuals. Speaker, uh, coach, host, just an array of things. She's like my part-time mentor, even though she may not realize it. Nakisha Hicks, welcome back to Baxter's Buzz.
Listen, I'm glad to be back. You know, I got you. Anytime you
Yeah,
call.
I appreciate it. I appreciate it. I don't take anybody's time for granted. I was talking to a friend. I'm already starting with a tangent, but I was talking to a friend, and she's like, "How do I tell my friend like I got this time off? She wants to travel with me, but she doesn't. She says she had her passport. She doesn't have her passport." I said, "Look, if she doesn't respect her own time, she's not gonna respect your time. And you need to, make sure you respect yours, and you may have to make a hard decision. My time is valuable. I respect mine, and I respect everyone who gives me theirs. So thank you again for joining me and coming back to the podcast. So, um, March, Women's History Month. Who better to have on just to talk about the contributions that you're making? You are so passionate in this space, elevating women, moving, and helping sort of women ascend in their careers, and then personally, providing a lot of insights and testimonials. What talk about Elevate Her and some of the work that you do in that space?
Yeah. So the Elevate Her really has been really focusing and dedicating our work on really figuring out how do we elevate and transform not only just people now, the individuals, but now we've actually started moving into organizations. And so a lot of the work that we started off doing was really elevating women, right? And women who checked all the boxes, but still didn't have the access. And I found that that was a super common theme amongst women, especially Black women. Keep it all the way real. That was a lot of my issue. And so a lot of the work initially focused in on that. Then we started to kind of elevate that work, right, if you will, and evolve that work. And that work turned into, okay, now we got that piece. Now let's move into things like the morning mindset, the weekly show, because then that helped to kind of transform mindsets.
Yeah.
And mindsets, not just of women, but of anybody that wanted to come into that space and felt like that, you know what, I need to renew my mind.
Yeah.
And we really take it from an aspect of everywhere you go, there you are, like Joyce Meyer says, and says, okay, personally, professionally, if I'm dealing with confidence issues, say, for example, that's following me everywhere I go. That's just not at work. It may present itself differently, but it's just, so we evolved into that work. And then as of late last year, evolved again and evolved into now we're going out and doing fractional HR work in various organizations, primarily nonprofits, doing some advisory work with some churches and things like that. Also supporting organizations that work with vulnerable populations of people. Right. Again, mission driven. And oftentimes what I find with these particular demographics of people is that these organizations got big missions, right? They want to serve. And I'm like, I love it because I'm here to serve.
Yeah.
What I realize is that then the infrastructure, the business part of it, the people that actually do the stuff that's not even thought about. So enter in someone like myself and my team who comes in and says, okay, let's help you. Let's help you with the fundamentals. Like we playing fundamental ball. Like, do you have an employee handbook? Do you have policies in place? Do you have things so that we can continue to help them to continue to do the work that they do? And then it's always just speaking on stages. Like it's always speaking on stages and amplifying voices.
Yeah.
I'll just say sometimes I get to say the things that people think privately or say privately, I get to say them publicly.
Yeah.
So that's what I try to do. That's what we've been
Yeah.
doing.
Yeah. You said a lot, and I have like a couple notes. You talked about women who check all the boxes,
Yeah.
but still lack the access.
Mhm.
That's powerful. It's unfortunate, but I think most people, when they hear that, will understand exactly like what that means, or at least have an idea of what that may mean to them. Expound on that if you would.
Yeah. So I was having a conversation. Sometimes I offer free mini coaching sessions, right? And I opened up the doors, did it, and I was having a conversation with a young lady today. And man, she got all the letters before her name, after her name, right? But is in a space where she's struggling to get into her next role. Not only does she have all the letters before and after her name, right? But she also has a certain level of experience and expertise. However, every time she's going for a certain level, she's blocked. And so she and I were talking through it, and it's like, of course, your personal brand, how you branding yourself, all the things that has a lot to do with it. But what I shared with her and what I'll share with you in your audience is that oftentimes it's access. Access is what we lack.
Mm-hmm.
As a community, that's what we lack, not just as men, women, whatever, but as a community, that's what we lack. But then if you break it down, and as women, that's also what we lack. We ain't even talk about black, white, purple, green, right? It's
That's
as
right.
women, we lack access. I mean, that's why you have such pay gaps and all the different things. It's access.
Mm-hmm.
And so I told her, I said, you know what? It is about, unfortunately, in this particular area of when we live in just in time, it's thinking about who do you know?
Yeah.
It's not about what you know. We've proven that, right?
Yeah.
And if you think about like, there's so many people. We like black women. We the highest demographic of educated women in the world, not the country, the world.
Yeah.
Yet some of us hit so many ceilings.
Okay.
Right? When you can watch, and I have seen it firsthand being an HR pro, like hiring folks who don't have all this and going up high. Why? Because of who they knew. Somebody's daddy played golf with somebody else's daddy. Somebody went to school with somebody, or somebody just happened to be in the same circle as somebody else. And so my thing is, we could check the boxes as far as like, we got the education, we meet the minimum requirements. However, it's the access.
Mm.
And so if I'm looking at you versus somebody who has access or that knows how to get to the door behind the door,
yeah,
I'm picking that person over you all day long.
Yeah.
Right. And in this economy, in this market, I don't even have to tell you why, really. I don't have to share that with you. So, when you see candidates going back and saying, well, can I give some feedback? And they don't hear anything.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have to give you feedback. So take that on the chin and say, you know what? I'm gonna give myself my own feedback. And part of that is, how am I getting out here and creating relationships? How am I nurturing relationships? And how am I making sure that I'm showing up as the best me in these relationships so that I can gain the access that I need? And then you already got the stuff. So check the box and get the access.
Yeah. When you, like, I haven't read anything recently, but I know I've read several studies where people typically internally, if they're looking for a promotion, if they receive that promotion, they're typically going to be paid less than someone coming from outside the organization. Mm-hmm. What if you want to stay at the org that you're in, but you want to be paid in a certain manner? What's your thought process? And I know it's not a one size fits all, but just what do you think about the notion that you may need to leave this company? You may need to leave this company for 2-3 years and maybe come back if there's another opportunity. Like, how do you feel about saying, you know what, I need to be paid what I'm worth? I know what the boxes that I check. I know my qualifications. How do you feel about folks that are contemplating or that are planning on sort of moving into a different org to really get that recognition, and that that compensation that comes with that?
Yeah. So, I guess two ways to look at it. One way is that from my HR standpoint, we do know that to be true, right? Internal promotion, even though we say We want to create internal equity. We want to make sure that we're promoting from within. It's like, but it is a true fact that people from the outside coming in, they have the ability to negotiate more, right? Because once you're in, right? It's kind of like the mafia. Once you're in, right? And so it's like at that point, from an HR lens, it's always been, if I'm going to pay you more, I need to see how I'm eating off of you. And so it's almost like if you're in a position where you want to stay within your organization, you want to make more money, it's like you have to make a business case as to why that organization should pay you more money. What are they getting from that, right? And so it comes back to being able to sell what you've been doing. Now, on the flip, I've been one of those people that have left an organization, went to go do something else, then doubled back like a year or two later. And came into a higher role. And I had to do that in order to make the compensation that I needed to make, right? Like the benefits were dope, but it was like, that ain't the coins though. The benefits don't pay the light bill, right? Like it's apples and oranges. They both fruit. I like it, but it's not the same. And so I did have to leave to come back. And it was like, but I had to leave, come back, get a higher title and all the things. There was no way I could go back into the same role. No, I could go higher. And so I think everything always comes down to a personal decision, right? As far as what's important to you in that space. However, it comes also down to you have to be able to advocate for, because you can leave, right? In theory, you can leave, go get another role and still not negotiate well on your behalf.
There's this recurring thing that in my life recently is just this whole story piece. This a part of self like advocating is the story that you tell. Absolutely. Right? We were talking before we start to record about your titles versus what you do. And I imagine that there was a time that all the amazing things that you do didn't come out so easily, right? Now it's like, oh yeah, like these, you're very confident, but I know it hasn't always been the case, or not as confident. Talk about when you're coaching and you're coaching individuals looking to ascend in these roles. How do you help them kind of create that business case and that story to help to kind of give them that push that they need?
So I think the one thing that I influence and push my clients to do is to do mirror moments. And it's like, take a look at yourself for real, right? What do you see? Not what you think you see, but really, what do you see? What do you see like when you're looking at you? And then I want you to take a look out the window. Right. So it's a mirror moment, but then it's also a look out the window, because out the window is then based upon who I see myself is how I'm impacting out. So what do you see around you? And so oftentimes bringing that more into like a professional situation, it's like, okay, how do I see myself? Am I a leader? Am I influencing change? What am I doing? Right. Not just the tasks, but what is it of me that I'm actually bringing? What am I bringing to the table? And then it's like, how then am I pushing that outward? Because it's cool if it stays within you, right? But it's like, how am I influencing the world around me? And if you can see it, then it's cool. But what I find is so many people are like, well, I'm just doing my job. You are, right? However, there's a way in which you do it that is different than anybody else. You have to, but that comes back to understand, who am I first?
All right. Okay. So I'm in this new role. I got all these duties. I got this cool title. I'm a, director, right? But I'm a working director. Like, I got this team that rolls up to me, but they still don't have the expertise that I do. And I'm doing the things. I am completing the task. I am checking the boxes. How do I get out of that space? How does one get out of that task space because I got ideas, I
Right.
got vision.
Right.
I don't have time to even really implement any of this stuff because I'm working. How do I how do I balance those things that need to get done but still make room for, like, this is the role that I'm in is supposed to be really spearheading like the vision and rolling out my own vision. How do I balance the two?
Yeah. So, okay, this is this comes up a lot when people are in director level roles. And I think sometimes is we still have the stench of have done the role, right? Because we probably, most of us have evolved into or promoted into these spaces. But here's what I would say. You can be a doer if you choose to be a doer. It's a choice.
Mm.
And so if you have a team, and like to your point, what you just said is that this team may not be at the level you want them to be, then the question is, why are they not?
Mm.
And oftentimes it's like, okay, maybe you like keep it real. Sometimes we inherit when we get into director spaces. I've done it. I've inherited people that I'm like, I would have never hired these people really.
Yeah.
And it's like the wrong seat on the bus. Good to great. Like, you're right. It was the wrong seat. They should not, or it's the wrong bus altogether. You shouldn't have been on this bus. It's another bus for you, but not this one.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so it's like sometimes people get, you inherit people. And sometimes you inherit people with behaviors from prior supervisors or prior leaders, right? So now you have to get to a space where they're learning and unlearning.
You
At
preaching
the
this
same
people
time,
today. Yeah.
right? Like seriously. But then it's like, but if I had the liberty to choose my squad, right?
Yeah.
Then it's like, how did I select my squad?
Mm-hmm.
That's another thing, right?
Yeah.
So whenever I've been in spaces where I've been able to choose people that work for me, right? When I've been able to throw out a job description, first of all, I review every job description to make sure it aligns with what I really want it to do.
Yeah.
Or what the function needs to be. And then it's like, I'm also thinking about where are my areas of deficiency or areas that I need to be like, take this off my plate so that I can incorporate that appropriately in the job description. So I'm hiring for that, right?
Yeah.
So then it's like, okay, if I'm hiring somebody that can do the things that I've been doing, ain't no reason for me to do it. That math is not math at that point.
But what about the first example where you've inherited some folks and this is just the squad you have right now?
So Jack Welch says manage up or manage out. So the thing is, though, as a leader, then you have to make a decision, not a manager, as a leader, to say, I'm gonna leave these people up out of this, or I'm gonna leave them up, or they're gonna go up out of this.
Yeah.
Right? They're either gonna come up or they're gonna self-select out.
Yeah.
But I have to make a decision.
Mm-hmm.
Say that's what I'm gonna do. And here's the thing: it's not always a comfortable decision.
Yeah. Because
sometimes, again, these are learned behaviors.
Sure.
These are expectations that were cool in a different season with a different supervisor.
Yeah.
And now they become working for me. And I'm like, no, that ain't gonna work.
Yeah.
There are certain expectations that I have of you.
Yeah.
So it's like either you provide a person with all the resources, tools, necessary to do what they need to do. But if they can't, that's okay.
Yeah.
Let me help you out the best way you can.
Yeah. Let me find you that bus, that bus. Let me get you a transfer.
Right. Because this is not it. This is not the one.
Yeah.
But then if I get to pick who it is, then it's like I still have that responsibility to make sure that I'm giving them all the tools, resources that they need to do their job. And I don't need to hover over them. Because sometimes in that hovering, there's a bit of what I found some people is insecurity. Because I'm good at this. But now if you really put me up where I'm supposed to be, even though that's really what I wanted, there's that, well, what if I do this wrong?
Yeah.
If I mess this up?
Right. I know what I do well. Yeah.
And so now this exposes me too. So it puts me in a vulnerable position. So it's like, but wait a minute, that's what you asked for.
Yeah.
Eat the food you asked for.
And these people that you inherited, maybe they have more capacity. Maybe they just got some bad habits because of who they reported to in the past, right? And so they may surprise you once you put a little bit more on their plate and challenge them. They may, as you stretch them, they may actually surprise you, right?
Yeah. And I think it's also always in a constant state of reflection, internal reflection, and saying, and questioning yourself. And like really coming to a space where you're like, why am I doing this?
Yeah.
Should I be the one doing this?
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
should this be somebody else? And if it should be somebody else, then why does that person not have it?
Yeah.
Is that on me or is that on them?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And then moving accordingly. If it's on them, it's like, well, why? Is it because they're not competent? They're not capable? They don't have capacity? Like, which one of the C's,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
if it's on me, is it because I don't know how to delegate?
Yeah. Again, it goes back to looking in the mirror, right? And really being
Right.
honest with yourself.
Right.
What about the other C? What about confidence? Talk about this workshop that you have, building unshakable confidence.
Yeah, I mean, you know what? Here's what I would tell you. Like, I appreciate what you said about me earlier. You're like, oh, well, you confident, or maybe a little less confident. I'm like, man, I do so much stuff with my knees shaking, it ain't funny, right?
Yeah.
Like, so it is this. Now, I will say I have grown in my confidence, right? But like all things, it's a continuous thing. It's a continual learning process, an unlearning and a learning. And being able to say, okay, I mastered this level, let me go to the next one, right? And with every level, every round goes higher and higher, right? And the risk and the rewards get higher and higher too. And so what I wanted to do is actually, one thing I do in the morning mindset is I'm always talking about confidence and self-doubt and perfect, all these different things. And so I was like, man, we got to go a little deeper. I want to go a little bit more intense with those people who really like, you know what? I'm sick of this not having the level of confidence that I really want, right? How do I build that? Like, how do I really put the tools in place? How do I know what levers to pull?
Yeah.
What are those things that can really understand how to do this? And that I can apply it universally wherever I am, whether I'm at work, I'm at home, I'm at church, wherever I am, I can show up and people are like, yo, right? Because I understand that when I'm doing that, the world gets to benefit from me.
Yeah.
Right. And so I built I wrote a devotional first, and then I said, okay, cool, this ain't enough. Because I wanted to teach to it, because I'm like, it's cool. So this particular month in March, because like the time changed, the season's changing, I was like, how do we walk confidently into this next season?
Yeah.
So this month during the morning mindset, it's been all about like, okay, we were on session 2 this morning about confidence. So it's just pulling back layers after layers. So the workshop is just a more intense version of it.
You said you created a devotional?
Did.
Would you happen to have like
And do.
would you happen to have like a copy of like what it looks like?
Boom, baby. True story. You know what? I wrote that. I was looking back when I picked it up from the final print, and I was thinking about it because the person I picked it up from said, when did you write this? And I went back and I thought about it, and I started writing it at the high, well, it was like July, August timeframe. And personally, I was going through like one of the craziest times in my life, like, quite honestly. Lot of personal shifts. And it was very cathartic for me to write that, because at that time of going through such a personal experience, my confidence was shook.
Yeah.
Like straight up, like it was shook. But it's like, but I can't present as that. Right? Because it's Keisha Hicks. Keisha Hicks has to be on lives. Keisha Hicks has to be in front of people.
That's
right? Keisha Hicks still has to be a mom. Keisha Hicks still, I still have these things. I still have to be somebody's sister, somebody's daughter, right? But I still have to function.
Yeah.
So it was like, how do I build that back up? Because I think sometimes people think that once their confidence is gone, it's like, it's gone. It's like, you can build unshakable confidence. You really can, but you just really have to really be focused in on how do I do it and really be consistent about it. And so I just sat down, and that became part of therapy for me, really, was writing and really just taking it step by step. It's really easy. Ain't nothing hard about it. I don't believe in giving nobody nothing hard. One thing I like to do is drop acronyms for people to be able to remember. So every single day in here is an acronym with some reflection, because I'm like, look in the mirror.
Yeah.
Like, look in the mirror. And it was funny because when I picked it up, the person I picked it up from, she said, are you going to go back through it now? And so I've actually been sitting with it.
Oh, that's wonderful. Yeah.
Seeing where I am now versus when
Sure.
right. And
Sure.
so it's just dope. It's just a dope word.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Congratulations. How are we doing on time? Do you have a couple minutes or no? Do we need to? Okay. Because I don't know your schedule. I want to be mindful of that.
Then I cleared my calendar out just for you.
See,
See, because you're my people. Like,
yeah, I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Because I didn't want to skate past that. I want to say kudos to you for that. I journal a lot. We talk, I write all sorts of things. I take a lot of notes. I journal, and it really helps me just, and I love being able to look back on things. And I believe in documentation. I believe in documentation of what my journey is, because I know that it's not just for me.
yeah.
It's for me to help others, and provide perspective, right? Because they may not realize what Keisha was going through, because of the way she shows up. But when you are able to share with folks and give that insight, it's like, wow, I'm going through something similar, or I have experienced something similar, right? And that confidence piece you talk about, I always think about confidence as like steps. You
Yeah.
don't gain it overnight, and you don't lose it overnight. It's trial and error, it's experience, it's all these things. I was Bryce, my 7-year-old, he doesn't cook as much as Zara, my 10-year-old, does. Zara's been more like, I don't cook a whole lot, but I do breakfast. That's kind of my thing. And so one day I said, okay, Bryce, you're up, man. It's time for you. We're gonna you these pancakes you like, you're in charge of,
Yeah.
you know. And so there's a lot when you think about, I was he was 7, he's 7 now. I was definitely younger than him flipping my first pancakes, but you think about like the heat on the stove, mixing the batter. Even if it's just add water, you still need you're looking for a certain consistency. The pan. How long do you keep? There's a lot that we take for granted just from experience, and so I'm kind of walking him through these things, and he flipped his first pancake, and it folded. It wasn't.
The first pancake is always raggedy.
It's always.
It's always I don't care how many pancakes you done flipped. It's always raggedy.
Yeah, it's always like the worst one, right?
Yeah.
But you hear how but that's experience talking. So he flipped it, and I said, he knew it wasn't perfect. I said, that's a really good. I said, that's a really good pancake. That's a really good first pancake. He said, did you flip yours like that your first time? And I said, yeah, baby, I did, And I just thought about experience in all walks of life. The more we do things, the less we worry about a bad flip.
Yeah.
And we just move on to the next one, because experience teaches us it's gonna get better.
Yeah.
But if we fold like that pancake,
That's
and
right.
we don't try again, and we don't build that muscle memory and that experience up, we'll always be thinking, well, I can't do it. Well, why? Because you didn't put the time in, that you don't have that experience to help kind of build that confidence, right?
Yeah. No, that's true. There's a book called The Outliers, and it talks about like hours of practice.
Yep.
And I would just constantly, put in the work. And I'm like, people ask me like, how do you get on stages? How do you do this? I can never do that. And I'm like, listen, do you know how many hours of video I've done? How many live streams I've done?
That part.
Right? Like, I didn't just do it one time and it was cool.
Right.
It's like, it's hour upon hour upon, like, people are like, oh, I can't write content. Like, I'm like, you know how much content I've written?
Yeah.
Like, like, it's like, not to be like the big, but it's like, no, do you understand how much work I've done?
That's right.
Right. And how some of it falls completely flat sometimes. Sometimes I'll create something, post it, and put it out, and nobody says anything about it.
Yeah.
And then sometimes I'll push something out and it just goes crazy.
Yeah.
It's like, but if I gave up on the thing that didn't flip right.
Yeah.
Right. It's like, man, but it's like, let's keep on. Like my son is a bassoonist, crazy bassoonist. Think about the amount of hours that he puts in. I mean, he's in music conservatory now.
Yeah.
He's like in his junior year. Pretty soon he'll start taking auditions. And it's like, this dude puts in work. Like I've seen him play so much his lips have bled. Right. Like, because it's that dedication.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then it's like, but didn't you still sometimes step out on stages and be like, hold up, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I did it like this week, you know, speaking at the conference. I was just like, whoa, okay, I gotta, as I'm walking up to the stage, I'm literally having this internal dialogue, like mirror moment, look out the window, mirror moment, right?
Yeah.
Before I even put a mic up to my mouth, right? Because it's like, boom, I gotta reassure myself of who I am right now.
Yeah. Yeah. So yes, outliers, 10,000 hours.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And when people talk about the work that they do and the time that they put in, that's real. That's not you saying I've fallen out of bed with my makeup done and no, I've worked my tail off to get to this point. So when I'm in these rooms and I'm on these stages, that I'm ready. And that if I have nerves, that's fine, but I can rely on muscle memory because I've done the work.
Yeah, yeah.
I've done the work.
It's frustrating sometimes. And this is where I come in and I try to really, I think part of my purpose is like, I watch people put in the hours. But enters in, they smack with access. They can't get the access to it. Somebody else who hasn't put in the time.
Yeah.
Right? Come back to, don't have the letters before and after. They had to spend all night writing term papers and studying for this, doing that, and, you know, dealing with all this stuff. They just, sometimes it's those easy passes. And that, if you see that, and if that's something that you see often, that can really shake you.
Sure.
Like, I did all that and I'm not working.
Yeah.
I'm not good enough.
Yeah.
And it's, yo, that's coming back to that mirror moment. Like, listen, that's for them.
Yeah.
Whatever should be for them, but you know what you're doing. And so I'm like, how do we navigate around that? How do you build that unshakable confidence, even if you see that?
You're they take an elevator, you're taking the stairs, and you're gonna be better off for it. I had lunch with some of the younger folks. 3 of them had done internships at Capnick, and now they're employees, and they're in different fields, and they're in different departments, and they're trying to figure out what they want to do. So they're getting exposure to these different parts of the insurance business. And we had lunch. They put me on the spot, asked me some questions, and I talked about hard work, and I talked about I didn't say it exactly like how you said it, but I said everyone thinks that they're working hard. And in their mind, they may be. It's a very subjective thing. I'm working hard. But you have to look yourself in the mirror and be honest and say, is there more that I can be doing?
That's right.
Is there more that I can be doing? Your point about these folks that have done the work, here's the point I want to make, and I know you'll agree. They've done the work. They don't have the access. That's when you when you're doing the work and you're making the effort, you can make adjustments. That's what you're there for. It's to say, okay, let's fine tune some stuff, right? But you can't get to that point if you haven't done the work. Right. If you don't just go after it, you can't adjust a jump shot that you've never taken. Like, you can't theorize some of these things. Sometimes it's action, right? It's repetition. And then you have folks like yourself that can come in from a mentoring standpoint and say, okay, let's take a look at that swing. What are you doing wrong? What are you doing right? How can we make some small adjustments, right? We can't do that. We can't do that if people aren't willing to do their part and put the effort in, right?
That's right. And I think that's where people just, I don't know, I blame social media. Right? Because social media makes you think that it's get rich quick. It's all this stuff. I'm like, here's the thing. Most people, if they telling the truth, don't want to show you what it took to get to where they are.
Yeah.
Or they're going to give you the filtered version of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. And so I think that's another part of what I do is I try to be real transparent with people. Like, listen, this ain't cool. Yeah. I burn the candle at both ends and in the middle. Yeah. I've sacrificed, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Personal time. Yeah. I've watched relationships that were important to me be like, because I ain't have time for them, right? Like I got clothes in the dryer because I live out the dryer. Like it's keeping it 100 with people, right? Like so it's like I'm not gonna sit up here and say it's all roses, it's cool, it's sprinkles. No, you gotta put in the work. Yeah. And if you're not willing to put in the work, then accept where you're gonna be. Will only get as far as what you work to do. Right. And I mean, I'm a believer and I believe that God will position me where he needs me to be, but that's only when I study and show myself approved.
Hello.
And I have to study, which means I have to do something.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. And I have to show that I'm doing it.
Yeah. Yeah. The theory piece of it, I was talking to the young folks yesterday. We'll get trapped in this planning piece. Well, I'm not ready yet.
Yeah.
Let me keep fine-tuning my game plan. But you guys get on that court. You got to step on that field at some point. Yeah. And get in the game.
And that's just it. That's just what it is.
Yeah. And
you're going to be shown up for whatever skill level that you have.
Yeah. Yeah. And then you go back and you rework it.
Yeah. And you just keep reworking and refining it. My grandmother, super, super influential in my life. She used to always say, excellent and average don't live in the same place. And guess what? Average doesn't live here. I was like, well, okay. Now, there was two things that happened from that. It forced me to be a perfectionist in some instances, right? Yeah. You're always striving.
Sure.
Then it was also like, man, I don't have another option.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, this is it.
Yeah.
Like, excellence or nothing.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Like, I don't have it. There is no other thing, right? And it's always like, then if that's the case, I ain't nobody's competition but my own.
That's right.
Always trying to beat me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. And I think that that's also the thing is like people's confidence takes a hit when you're trying to compare yourself to somebody else.
Yes.
But you don't know the internal workings. You don't know what it took.
That's right.
Right.
That's right.
It's like, nah, your biggest person to beat, your biggest opponent is you.
That's right. That's right.
It's you. How can you be better than you were yesterday? And how can you see people better than when you found them today? Right? It's like always going towards that.
Yes.
And to me, that's a unicorn. That's a unicorn right there.
Yeah. Yeah, because most people never get to that point. Because it's a lot of experience and effort typically that helps you to land on that. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You don't start there. You start, by looking around and going, how do I measure up? And that's okay in the short term. But ultimately, what you really want to be doing is, man, how can I get more out of myself?
Yeah. Because I think when you're looking around in that measure up, that's research.
Yeah.
Right? So I'm like, what does it take to do that?
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's not looking on the outside. It's actually having some real intentional conversations, trying to see, can I get to that person and say, what did it take?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, take me behind the curtain.
Yeah.
I'll tell anybody, listen, you want to know what it's like to be Nakisha Hicks? Come here. I'm going to show you.
Yeah.
It ain't pretty.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Times I've had to take calls in cars and because I'm going between things, like lunch breaks that ain't lunch breaks.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. It's a lot of things. It's a lot of sacrifice and it's a lot of, but it's like, what are you willing to do to have the life that you want?
Yeah.
Supposed to have. And I think, you'll have the life that you settle for.
Mm-hmm.
The career that you settle for, any of that. You don't have it. Like, you only gonna live to what you settle for.
Yeah. And there's a point where you will do everything that you could do. And then the rest of it is up to God.
Absolutely.
And that door that you have been trying to beat down may not open because that is not your door, right? But but there's peace knowing that you've given it your all. You know, and the ripples that we are in control of, the ripples, the waves, that's in God's hands. Those are things those are outside factors. And I think that we're making these ripples waiting for these waves to come out of and instead of just working on what we can control.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. 100%. 100%. No, that's it right there. I mean, I think that's what it's like when I remove myself from the outcome. Like I remove myself from the outcome and I just become a part of the process.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That's where the confidence goes. That's when I can get higher up. That's when I can see evolution happen within myself. Yeah. But when I'm so tied to the outcome, and here's the thing, that's the outcome that I've created for myself. What is that? What if that's a limit? What if that's like
right
what's supposed to be?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. What if I put a cap on it based on what the outcome that I want to see? I love that, because when you handle your business, you do it every day. There's these games within the game. There's these assessments and these puzzle pieces, and you can really get in the mix. And you ain't looking at anybody else at that point, because you're
on that.
and you're making these adjustments. But you talked about reworking things. You can't rework anything that ain't working. If you're not working, you can't rework it, right?
No, that's like extra credit and you ain't did the homework assignment. Ain't no extra credit. Like, do what you're supposed to do first, you know? But you know, one thing about me is last year, I made a commitment to myself and I made a commitment to God to be all in. I didn't know what that looked like, but I was like, I'm all in. And it's so funny because my clients will say, man, they'll say something like, are you all in or all out?
Yeah.
What you doing? We're not straddling.
Yeah.
You either all in or you all out. And if you all in comes with a lot of unknowns.
Yeah.
Right? But it's just like every time you say yes, it opens the door to another yes, and another yes, and another yes. And some of these yeses are not comfortable. Some of these yeses are not familiar, right? But it's always coming back to, what do I know about me? Mm-hmm. What do I know about me? I said yes before, this is what happened, right? And it's always understanding that, like, you know, I'm a biblical girl, you know, I'm a Bible girl, and I'm like, you know what? I serve a God that is ahead of me, but is looking back at me, trying to get me to catch up with him. Right? So my thing is with that, I'm just like, just walk, just do what you got to do. Just go. Yeah. Be all in. You good. Just be all in. And I think that's, you know, whatever it is, even if you're not a believer, it's like, whatever you're going to do, be all in. You're going to be the best insurance provider in the world, be all in. Yeah. The best IT person, be all in. The best janitor, be all in. Whatever it is that you're going to do, be all in. Because you can't fully activate in that level, in that role, if you're not all in. Commit to it. And go for it and see what happens. And like, it may not all be what you want it to be immediately. And that's cool. That's a part of the process. Right? Like I was saying this morning during the morning mindset, and I was talking about like really just like building resilience. And I think that when you're thinking about like moving up and promotions and moving up in your career, your business, it's always about being resilient. Yeah. Like COVID taught us to be resilient, like all these things. But it's like resilience is like, for a lot of people, it's all about, can I bounce back? But my thing is, it's not about the bouncing back, no. It's about, can I accept the fall? Can I accept the thorn in my side? And what can I learn from it? Right? Because what I said to them and what I'll share with you is that problems are real. Real water, real fire, problems are real. Problems are real and they hurt. And they confuse us and they cause us all the angst, right? Problems are real. But when you shift your perspective on how you see a problem and you say, wait a minute, hold on, this problem has a purpose. And this purpose is a part of my process. And that is then gonna get me promoted. Whether it's promoted in the way I see and think about things, or if it's promotion in my job. But I can't always see a problem and say, dead stop, because it's a problem. I got to see the purpose in it. And I think that's the part of building resilience. That a lot of us don't get to that point because we stop too soon. On the flip.
Yeah, on that flip, and we throw our hands up. But no, you're absolutely right. I know adversity is coming, but I've shown that I've been able to overcome it. Can't avoid it because
Oh,
some of the best stuff is on the other side of it.
part of the process.
All the good stuff is on the other side of it. But if we give up, we'll never be able to experience that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
All right. Let me just, real quick. So
Merch is there.
what we got here? We've referenced the morning mindset a couple times. I just want to say, just let it be known, I was the
First hoodie.
first hoodie. Anyone who knows me knows I have one, two, three, four ish hoodies. I love me a good hoodie. Talk about the morning mindset. Talk about um the um the swag and sort of the how it's connected.
Yeah. So the morning mindset is a space that I started back at the height of the pandemic on Clubhouse. It was a way just to rally community and to really share with people kind of what I was doing in the morning to get my mind right, Monday through Friday. Hosted a room Monday through Friday for like 3 months solid. And I was like, every day it was like, here's the morning mindset with Keisha Hicks. This is what we're gonna do. We're gonna talk about these different things, how to shift our minds, renew our minds, get our minds right for the day. I then moved it from Clubhouse to LinkedIn. I do it on Wednesday mornings because I ain't no way I can do it every day. That ain't my ministry no more. But I do it once a week, and I do it in the middle of the week because I'm like, okay, this will get you over the hump.
Right.
But the morning mindset is a space for personal and professional growth and development. It's a space where we have some real honest conversations where I've been known to snatch an edge, step on some toes. Listen, but I do it all out of love, right? Because I really want people to shift how they see things, how they see themselves primarily. And so that's been the morning mindset. And so with the morning mindset, it was always like it became its own brand. It lives, right? It breathes. I was like, what would be really cool is to figure out how to way to create some kind of merch with it. And not just to have people like yourself rocking a dope sweatshirt or me rocking a dope t-shirt,
I
right?
mean, that's one thing.
That's
Yeah,
one thing, right?
yeah.
But I really wanted to be able to say, okay, it's a purpose with it though, not just for it to be another thing, a promo piece. So what happens is I said, okay, let's figure this thing out. So I got with a friend of mine, created a dope logo for it, and was like, listen, we're gonna put this on merch and we're gonna sell this merch. And half the proceeds for the merch are gonna go to organizations that support women and young girls. That's what we're gonna do. So every month, I mean, the profit, because anybody that knows merch knows that the profit margin is super small. So you got to jack up a hoodie and make it extremely crazy to make any money off of stuff, unless you order it from like somewhere else.
Yeah.
Right. But I wanted high quality products. I wanted things that were really good, and I really wanted it to be about something that you could wear. Yeah, cool, right? But I wanted it to be able to serve a purpose. And so we've been able to support some really dope organizations. Every month I'm writing checks based on the sale of the merch and then just out of my pocket, right? So again, half the proceeds of the merch go to support those organizations. The other half stays within the business to keep the merch going. So yeah, ElevateHer makes no money on the merch. It doesn't make my bookkeeper very happy, but okay.
Yeah. Well, the logo is like incredibly dope. The work that you do, I've been able to sit in on some and listen to some others. I mean, these are really important conversations that you're having. We need to hear those hard lessons, those facts, that objective like thinking that we won't necessarily give to ourselves, right? So sometimes, sometimes it's Keisha stepping off some toes and really challenging folks, and I think it's necessary if you want to get to that next level, if you want to elevate yourself and the people around you. But the logos are dope. The logo is dope. The merch is dope. The mugs, the t-shirts, the hoodies, the proceeds, the charities that you are supporting. I mean, it's just what I hear when I talk to you and some others, not all, it's someone that's so locked into their purpose that it's really inspiring. And it makes me reevaluate to make sure I'm still locked in. And if I'm not as passionate as you, am I on the right bus? Because
Gus.
we need to have these conversations with ourselves, and we don't need to be doing exactly the same thing. That's not what it's about. Everyone isn't going to be on stages writing books, coaching per se, but we're all making our contributions, and we want to be when the days are tough and we don't feel like doing these things. We need our purpose to keep us moving, and if we're not connected with that, we're gonna have more tough days than good days. And maybe we need to look in that mirror and do some reevaluating, right?
Yeah. I will say, here's the thing: purpose can be painful. Right? I think people think, oh, she's walking in her purpose. It's so lovely. No, purpose can be painful.
Yeah.
Right? Purpose has to be intentional. Purpose has to be like, it comes with like all of the things.
Mm-hmm.
But when you say yes to it, it's like, man, you just go, right? And it's like you also have to have hope, right? And I think that's what I see a lot of people don't have a lot of, right? But it's like when you operate in purpose, you got to have hope that what I'm doing is the right thing.
Yeah.
And what I'm doing is I'm gonna be covered while I'm doing it. Right? Like y'all may never be a millionaire. I hope not. I hope that's not the case, right? But it's like, but if I impact 1 million people, guess what? I'm a millionaire.
That's right. That's right. And you're doing that. I mean, that's real. And again, that's the ripples that you're focused on. The waves, the way the money come in, those things will happen the way they're supposed to happen. But you are doing the work. You're walking the talk. Yeah. And during Women's History Month, you are contributing. You're making a real, a name for yourself, and you're creating a legacy and helping others build upon their own.
Yeah.
Like, each and every day. So like, salute to you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, man. That's what you're supposed to do, right? Leave the world better than you found it.
That's right.
Every day the world should know you woke up.
I like that. I like that. Okay. She is the founder of ElevateHer. She be coaching fractional CHRO. She be talking on stages, inspiring folks. She writing, leading workshops, and just making real contributions to the world, and really just walking the talk, like really a true like example of like, this is someone that's tied into their purpose and going all in, right?
All in.
All in. Whoever is listening or watching this, thank you. I just want everyone to know that you are all capable. You just need to embrace your own frequency. For Keisha, I am Baxter E. Until next time, peace.
Peace.
Welcome into his brain. Welcome into his frequency. Enter at your own risk. Come be at peace with me.
Thank you so much for watching this video. If you haven't already, please hit the like button. Please subscribe, share, and also hit that notification button as well. Thank you so much.
Financial literacy to authentic Black history. This real rap.